We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity.
Posterity is a word in the Constitution that none of the constitutionalists on TV will ever talk about. We have a constitutional republic founded to maintain posterity. For us and our posterity, it says so in the founding documents. The highest law in the land is the Constitution, and it says for us and our posterity. What is Bob talking about? Well, posterity basically means kith or kin. The founding fathers didn't found the country for Arabs. They're not Arabs. The founding fathers didn't found it for Chinese. They're not Chinese. The founding fathers of America did not found the country for Africans. They're not Africans. This is just common sense. Were Africans allowed to vote? No. It's a constitutional republic founded to maintain posterity. Posterity means kith or kin. Now, you could argue whether it should have been just Northern European. They have these arguments, but you can't really argue that it was founded for non-Europeans. Well, what happens if you have a constitutional republic founded to maintain posterity? In 1965, America was 90% Indo-European. Right now, by the way, China is 90% Chinese. The Chinese are not 100% Chinese, or 90% Chinese, or 91%. China is basically as Chinese as America was European in 1965. What happens if you have a constitutional republic founded to maintain posterity, and then you end up trying to subvert posterity, basically through an immigration law that was never voted on? There was no constitutional convention or none of the formal process. All the formal processes were thrown out the window, and they basically lied it into effect, and have since tried to change posterity. Have basically tried to totally change the population. Well, you're subverting the Constitution. That's what he's telling you. You can't take the highest law in the land, and many of the constitutionalists know this. You can't overthrow the First Amendment. They'd try. They have tried, but they've really kind of failed at that. We still have it. You really can't go down that road without really committing treason. And that's really what it is. The constitutional lays out a constitutional republic founded to maintain posterity is dependent on loyalty. Disloyalty is really simple. In any country, disloyalty is called treason. In America, it's problematic because it's still a hanging trial. Yeah, America is the only white country that you can hang for treason. So when it comes to the constitutionalists, they always talk about the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, all these different things that are unconstitutional, or things that people are trying that are unconstitutional, and they're actually right, or different attempts to subvert the Constitution. But what Bob is telling you, pointing out the obvious. He's telling you where you have them is not in any of those things. Any of those things would be a trial, and maybe on a given day and the given political platform, you could do some stuff and say they tried to subvert gun rights. But what they've tried to subvert is the Constitution as a whole by subverting posterity. They've tried to change posterity. They've tried to change the actual founding gene pool. They've denied the founding gene pool, the Indo-European gene pool. They've tried to deny them the privilege of continuing to run the country and all this other types of stuff, things that go with it. If you have a constitutional republic that's founded to maintain posterity, the highest law in the land is the Constitution. You can't try to subvert that. To try to do so is treason. It's a hanging trial. That's what he's trying to tell you. Within America, believe it or not, that's one of their biggest concerns. Their concerns isn't free speech. You can't really bust them for that. But I'm talking about what they're guilty of, what they're caught cold. They're caught cold in an attempted genocide of Indo-European children. We've talked about potential tribunals in Europe, and they won't hesitate to call them. But in America, there is a really, really vicious and brutal attack that could happen, and that is under the Constitution. Because under the right political circumstances, it is, depending on who you talk to, it's a trial or a tribunal. You cannot commit that type of, you can't try to overthrow the Constitution. You just can't do that. It doesn't matter what type of Masonic fraternity you belong to, or what type of banking, how much money your family has. You just can't go there. Because if you don't succeed in some perfect multiracial republic in 2050, if you don't succeed in rearranging things, if you fail, it's a hanging trial. It's just like wiping out Indo-European children. If you want to go down that road, once you commit yourself, you better succeed. Because if you don't succeed, you're in a tribunal. Someone's going to be wise enough to throw you into a loop you're not going to get out of. My enemy has more enemies than you can imagine, and most of them are non-white, believe it or not.